Good evening, everybody. I'm back on more episodes on AB's World. Thank you guys so much for your support. It's been a year since I started this, and I don't only do the podcast for my listeners that are listening to me from Ukraine, South Africa, Germany, Australia, Canada, the UK, and Australia. I appreciate you guys so much for listening. I hope that my podcast adds some inspiration and helps you think differently. When it comes to certain dynamics, we have to be able to problem solve. I did this podcast also for myself to see how I can be an asset for people, that have ADHD and what I can do to help them. As a person that is extremely impulsive and hyperactive, it gives me the strength and the courage to talk about my everyday life experience living with this neurological condition. I always anticipated that my podcast would be more humorous and more funny, but it's not. AB's World is a whole bunch of ideas and thoughts that need to be analyzed and see the best way to go about it. And I started this podcast because of a very good friend of mine who told me I should do it. And, I was skeptical at first that, maybe many people are not listening to what I'm saying and they don't have the same ideas and they're not on the same mission. And it's kind of difficult when you're in your early 30s, you're single, you live in a big city, you're trying to connect with people that have the same exact mission as you and the same goals. The goal is not to really get rich, the goal is to stay rich. There's so many wealthy people out there that are not good at managing their money and their time. And a lot of times that could be difficult for people like myself. I would have been a very wealthy man if I made better decisions in the past. I would have probably been able to, have more freedom and probably not be working a 9 to 5, a job that, just gives me the bare minimum. And I think that's what we really need to think about at the end of the day, is to look at where you're going instead of where have you been. And, that's just really my goal, is to make AB's World more practical for everybody, not just for a specific group of people. You know what I'm saying? I also really want to one day have a talk show and to just see how far it will go in terms of just having a whole bunch of guys talking about finances, entrepreneurship, dating, and what else can be out there so we can continue exploring and being more creative with our time instead of just putting all of our eggs in one basket. I don't know if that makes sense, but I literally do this as a hobby. I love talking. I love thinking outside the box. I'm a critical thinker. I'm a problem solver. I may not solve the problem today, but eventually it will get done, right? Like I was able to solve my debt problem, but how can I help other people that have ADHD? What is the best way to go about it? And it depends on what you're dealing with specifically, you know what I'm saying? For me, one of the challenges that I have is impulsivity. A lot of times I'd be talking out of my ass and I don't think before I speak, and that's not good if I'm going to be a realtor in the real world. And it's hard for me to control my mouth because I have no filter and I'm always speaking my mind, and I like to express myself in a very unique way. I like to be heard. And a lot of people that are, hyperactive are not heard. They're very to themselves, and that's not a good thing either. We need to really be out there. We need to be out there. We need to explore different types of scenarios and put ourselves in different environments and adapt. It's either adapt or you die. It's not really about, oh, I watched this video today. What is it about? Repeat it. Yeah, repetition is the best way to learn, in my opinion. I think that repetition is key to so many different things, not just learning, but to having a routine and sticking to it. At the end of the day, it's not really what you're doing, it's where you're going as well. Because at the end of the day, why you're doing it, what is the actual purpose, and what is your mission, what is your goal? People need to address that. People need to ask themselves. I ask myself questions all the time, right? This is part of my asking myself, where do I plan on being in 2 years? I plan on being in Miami, not really living the rich life, but living a much more peaceful, settled down, doing real estate from Miami, being in New York, doing the same podcast, a much more mature person as I am now, more established, has a lot more money, a good car, like a cool ass Honda or an Acura. It don't have to be crazy. Nobody's asking for anything extravagant. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just have to just keep quiet and just see where you end up going. And I think that's really difficult for me and other people that have the same neurological condition. We always have something to say. We're always thinking about what is being asked and what are you learning in what book. Sometimes we forget and we get stuck in our own heads. So this is really why I'm here. I'm not perfect. Look, my podcast is not number one. It's not number one. I have my listeners. I have people that are tuning in, which is great. I just want to go from point A to point B. I want to go to the next level. You know what I'm saying? And literally, this is why I'm here. I'm here to inspire myself by being a better version of myself and inspire the world. So, this is literally why I started this. Fear is all an illusion. Try. Actually give it one shot. I've been trying with this podcast for a year, and I think that I have a lot of room. I'm looking for more people that want to come on. I don't want to keep talking about the same things over and over again, because I know that I'm not this boring guy that's just going to keep talking about himself and his experience and the destruction of corporate America and basic economics and crypto and my friends, and it gets old. Nobody cares. At the end of the day, people want to know what you could do for them, not what you're going to do for yourself. At the end of the day, that's great. That's also part of AB's world, but we have to help ourselves. I don't like it, when people call me with a victim mentality. That's not going to help. We have to stop with the victim mentality. We have to think ahead. We have to live in the moment. And we got to really be grateful and have gratitude for everyone around us. Not every day is going to be rainbows. It's not. It's not going to be a great day every day. That's just the way it is. Next month in May, I'm going to start a YouTube channel. Hopefully it goes somewhere. And I really wanted to focus on more of like daily activities and what I do, when I'm obviously not on the clock, but to talk about residential real estate, living independently, as a single man in New York, and finding the right partner. Finding love is important, I think, but how far are you willing to go to find love and get out of your comfort zone? I am looking for a very specific type of woman. I know the woman when I see it. I thought I had it at one point, but people change over time, and I think that getting excited is kind of stupid. Don't get excited about anything until it's finalized. Like today, I thought I found an apartment for somebody, and it really, in theory, looked great. But I knew, look, hey, it may not work out. We have to really just think positive and take it as it goes. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just so grateful for everyone listening to me. I appreciate you guys. I will be making a YouTube channel, coming back with more stuff on AB's World. I have a few more things that I've been writing down and thinking about. I don't prepare anything, guys. I know a lot of people are like, don't you prepare? No. I think about what I'm saying, and I speak from my heart, and I'm very, very serious when it comes to my podcast and the things that I'm saying, because I have people that are listening to me from different countries, and yes, I may curse or may say a few things. At the end of the day, I am who I am, and I have a long way to go with my podcast. You know what I'm saying? I really wanted to go somewhere in terms of more like broadcasting style as well, having like groups to be more engaging. That's really like what my goal is, to engage with my listeners, to be more interactive, and I have passion for this. I have drive. Less is more at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? Thanks, guys. Peace. Till next time.